You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so why try to build a business without one? Grow your contracting business and grow your mind with Growth Mindset Monday.
All right, welcome back to Mindset Mondays. I'm your host, Garrett Bake, with the American Contractor Network. We are here in conjunction with, and of course, sponsored by Contractor Plus. If you're not using it, time to start, my friends. Well, you guys know the drill. If you're here live, go ahead and drop your name and your business name, where you're from, and we will give you a shout out. Now, as we're getting that rolling, kind of crazy the last, for me, April's always been like a weird month, right? I was born and raised in Arizona and lived in Phoenix for the last 20 plus years, which means we have two seasons, hot and not so hot. Well, a few years ago, we moved to Boise, Idaho, because we wanted to experience seasons. And I'll tell you that I used to think that seasons were, January through March and then April through June, like every 3 months went through a season. Well, I was pleasantly or shockingly surprised that seasons don't happen exactly the way you want them to. In fact, we just got dumped on with snow this last week. And I'm like, okay, I'm over it. Like, can we just be done with the snow? Like in Phoenix, we didn't have to deal with any of that crap. But I will tell you, I'm actually happy I'm not living in Phoenix because they've already hit 100 degrees this year. So no, thank you. So we got a couple of folks that were already here shouting us out. We got David Byler, DNR Commercial Roofing, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show. We got Michael Babbitt, Charlevoix, Michigan, BMF Services. He's a fence contractor. Welcome to the show. Well, I'm going to get a roll in here for those of you that decided to join us on time. This last weekend, not this weekend, the weekend before, I got to go visit a couple of friends of mine, and I got to go visit my son. Now, my son is in the Navy, the U.S. Navy, and so is my daughter-in-law. So we flew into D.C., got to tour around with some different monuments, got to see Trump leave on Marine One, which is quite a spectacle, kind of cool. And then we drove down to Virginia, Newport Beach, or not Newport Beach, Newport News, I guess it's called, Virginia Beach. There's a bunch of naval bases, Marine bases, all kinds of military bases down in Virginia, which is kind of cool. Well, one of the things that we did is we decided that we were going to go on a tour. Let me give another shout out here. We got Marcus Savage, M Savage Services. He's a plumber. Welcome to the show. Well, one of the things, again, that I wanted to do was go tour some of these facilities, some of these ships, right? Oh, sliding in here. We got Daniel. Almost missed it. Daniel Cappan with Noble Custom Glass. He's actually in the office. Well, congratulations, Daniel. That's a good thing, I think. Then we got Juan Carlos Cerda Pool Construction. Welcome to the show. So my son's like, hey, Dad, they got this naval ship, the USS Wisconsin, and we can go tour it. And I was like, cool. So here's a picture of the USS Wisconsin. And the interesting thing about the USS Wisconsin is it was commissioned during World War II, which is in the 40s. And it actually saw action during the Gulf War, which was in the 90s, like launched Tomahawk missiles into Iraq, which is crazy to think 50 years this warship was in service. Well, now they've got it as a museum attached to a facility there in Norfolk. So we went down there and got to tour the ship, which was really, really cool. You can go up 3 levels, down 2 levels, and it's amazing to see how this thing functions. We've also got Elevate Plumbing. Hello from Chicago. Welcome to the show. So we end up touring the ship, and as we're walking across the deck, we see these massive turrets, right? And inside of these massive turrets, they've got these little signs, right? Talking about these different aspects or portions of the ship. And next to turret number 1, they had this little plaque. And I read the plaque, and it was kind of, okay, it wasn't kind of interesting. It was really interesting. So I'm just going to read through this real quick if you can't see this or if you're driving right now. It says, Turret 1. It says the turret is a massive, complex piece of machinery, as indicated by its 500-page operations manual. And then in parentheses says, in small print, a heavily armored enclosure. It houses the ship's gun functions on multiple levels of the ship. The gun house is the portion of the turret you see above the deck. Inside, ammunition was loaded into the barrels. The guns were aimed and fired. The gun house rotates 270 degrees side to side to bear onto a target. The barbette is the armored cylinder under the gun house, extending deep into the ship. 5 decks below lies the powder handling room. Their 110-pound silk powder bags were moved through firewalls from magazines to hoist to bring up to the gun house. There's 2 shelf decks, 3 decks, and 4 decks below, rotated to position the 1-ton shells for hoisting the gun chambers, right? Now, of all that, super cool, right? You're like, hey, I just learned something about a turret. I'm gonna put the turret back here. You can kind of see there on the deck, they've got 6 turrets facing forward, right? But that wasn't the thing that actually caught my attention. What caught my attention as we go back here was the beginning of this little description that says, a massive complex piece of machinery as indicated by its 500-page operations manual. 500 pages. Now think about this for a minute. First of all, how long would it take you to get through 500 pages, right? Probably quite a while. But why would that have to be 500 pages long? Well, because it's a complex piece of machinery. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that need to happen. And you have a lot of people working on it, which means you want to make sure you get it right. Because the last thing you want is one of these things misfiring or having some type of issue. Are you with me? Now, before I continue, we got Robert here. I'm going to shout out Robert with Ram Roofing out of Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show. Why do I bring up then a naval ship that's on display in Norfolk, Virginia? Why would I talk about a turret that has a 500-page manual? Because I want you to think right now, if I asked you, show me your manual for how you install fences, do your roofing, your plumbing, pool construction, glass, whatever it is that you do inside of your business. If I asked you how you did that, what would you produce for me? Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that most of you don't have any type of operations manual. In fact, most of you are playing the just wing it strategy, which means you show up one day, you show up on a job site, and then you just wing it. Well, we just took off the shingles and it looks like this stuff's rotted. What are we going to do? We should probably replace it. Okay, how are we going to replace it? I don't know. Let's figure it out, right? Oh, shoot. We just broke this lady's, what's that called? Umbrella in her backyard, because as we were removing the shingles, we didn't prepare or prep or protect the property, and we broke it, and now we got to replace it, right? In other words, most of you don't have any type of operations manual, which should be of concern to you. Now, I get it. You're probably new. I get it. You probably are busy doing other things, but I also know this. Having worked with now almost 600 contractors over the years, having helped some contractors scale to 20, 30, or even $40 million, I will tell you that the thing that holds every contracting business back, GC, remodeler, plumber, roofer, electrician, landscape, pools, whatever it is that you do, the thing that holds you back more than anything, and in fact, will keep you from growing to the level you want to grow to, is getting a process in place. That's it. Some of you guys are like, oh, I need more leads. Yes, you do. And you need a marketing process. I need to close more deals. 100% close more deals. You need a process. Oh, we need to figure out how to make more money on our job. Yep, you guessed it, a process. How about hiring and onboarding? A process. What about running your books? You guessed it, a process. So the one thing that you need more than anything inside of your business is processes. Now, I was playing around with ChatGPT the other day, right? I'm like, take all of this information and all of these things that we teach contractors day in and day out across all the different aspects of business. And I said, summarize it into one sentence. And guess what it came up with? Structure equals freedom. That's it. 3 words, structure equals freedom, right? And so I thought about that and I was like, wait a minute. If structure equals freedom, why is it that we run from it? Why is it that we hide from it? Why is it that we have such an issue with it? And the issue has nothing to do with the structure itself. It has to do with our willingness to implement the structure. Did you know that on average, a manual in the Navy, and I'm just picking on the Navy right now, but on average, a manual in the Navy is anywhere between 200 and 500 pages on average. There are some, like the U.S. Navy diving manual, that has nearly 1,000 pages, split into 2 books, but 1,000 pages, right? It makes you wonder how we survive as contractors. Now, I say we because we are no different, right? And I'm currently in the process for our commercial construction management company of doing this exact thing right here. How is the way that we do the thing every single time exactly the same? Because contractors are the same, right? Now, I had a conversation with the owner of an electrical company. I'm going to keep him anonymous for now until I get him on the podcast. But I will tell you that he did over $200 million last year. $200 million. Pretty decent sized company, right? And when I asked him, what do you think led to the growth of your business? And he's like, at what stage? And I was like, you know what? When you passed 5 million, he goes, well, it actually happened before then. He said, we finally started treating our business like a business instead of a hobby. And it hit me. It hit me at that moment because I realized that most of us treat our business like a hobby. What do we do with a hobby? Well, we tinker around and we toy with it every now and then, or when we have time, or when it's convenient, instead of treating it like a business. And a true business runs like a business, right? There's an old story that's told of Howard Schultz. Now, some of you guys may recognize the name. Most of you probably do not. Howard Schultz was the CEO of Starbucks. Now, he's not there anymore, but he was. And he was the one that's responsible for you having a Starbucks in your local grocery store, also on the same corner and in an independent store, and across the street in your gas station as well, right? All over the place. Now, the thing about Starbucks that made it so that they could grow exponentially like they did had to do with one principle and one principle only. It has nothing to do with the coffee. Here's a perfect example. In one of the books that I was reading, I can't remember the name of it right now, but one of the books that I was reading brought up Howard Schultz, and they said Howard Schultz was doing a site visit. He was visiting one of his stores in the Midwest. So he walks into the store, and as he walks into the store, he notices that the light bulb at the entrance is not functioning. It's not working, right? So then he walks into the store and he continues his visit. Now, the question that was posed was, what do you think Howard Schultz, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, did when he noticed that the light bulb was out? And I want to hear from you guys. It's going to be 1, 2, or 3. Go ahead and post it in the comments. Okay. Number 1, he changed it. He went to the back room, grabbed a new light bulb, screwed out the old one, screwed in the new one. Number 2, he had the manager change the light bulb, right? Told her, hey, Susie, light bulb's out. Susie goes to the back, grabs the light bulb, switches it out. Or number 3, he did nothing. So which of those 3 do you think that Howard Schultz did? He changed it himself, had the manager change it, or he did nothing. Which of those 3? Go ahead and drop a 1, a 2, or a 3 into the comments. We got 1 from Marcus. Marcus Savage throws a 1 up here for us. Boom. Number 1. What do you guys think? He did nothing. He changed it himself. Had the manager do it. Daniel says 3. All right. We got a 1 and we got a 3. What about the rest of you? What do you guys think? Now, remember, he is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We can bring leadership into this, like lead from the front, right? All kinds of different things. We can talk about efficiency, getting someone else to do this instead of you, right? Or nothing. Got 3 options. Okay. This is what he did. He concluded his site visit. We got David with another 3 here. He concluded his site visit and he left. And he did nothing at the store. Flew back to Seattle, Starbucks HQ, brought his entire operations team into a meeting, said, hey, what policy or procedure do we have in place for when a light bulb burns out? And guess what the answer was? Nothing. He said, we need one. Because here's what happens, right? And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. If he would have changed the light bulb, what happens the next time the light bulb burns out? Nothing. Because he's not there anymore, right? He's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. If he tells the manager to change it, well, the manager now knows if there's a light bulb that's burnt out, she needs to change it. But what if she's not there? What if it's on the weekend? What if she gets transferred to another store? What if light bulb doesn't get changed? But if he goes back and asks the question, do we have a policy or procedure in place for changing out a burnout light bulb? And the answer is no. Then they have the opportunity not just to correct that issue for that store, but for their thousands of other stores as well. So think about that right now when it comes to your contracting business. What do you have in place for the if this happens, then we do this? Crazy, right? Some of you were a little squeamish in your seat. Some of you were like, well, I'm ready to throw in the towel. Listen, don't throw in the towel. But what I want you to pay attention to is the opportunity that's in front of you, right? Am I calling you out? Yeah, let's just call it what it is. I am calling you out. But I'm calling you out with a purpose. And the purpose is, what can we do to get better, right? If you legitimately want to scale your business, whether you're doing $50,000 a year, you're doing $500,000 or more. If you really want to scale your business, you have to get better at the process, right? Jocko Willink, who's an ex-Navy SEAL commander, Master Chief, he says discipline equals freedom, right? So if you want your business to create the freedom and the lifestyle that you want, you have to implement discipline. And that's through systems and processes, okay? So right now, what I want you to think about is, what is the one biggest thing that you keep having to either correct or do over and over and over again? And is there a process behind it? Now, if there is, we either got an issue with the process, not clear, or a person that's supposed to execute the process, right? But ultimately, the first thing that we need to put in place is a process. Now, does it need to be like the manual, the operations manual for Turret One, 500 pages? Please, no, don't do that. Nothing that you do is worth 500 pages. I'll tell you right now. In fact, the easiest way for you to start is simply to create a checklist. So for example, let's say you're a roofing company. I know we got a couple of you guys on the call today. You're a roofing company. So how is it that you run your jobs? Well, in your mind, you may know, and by the way, this doesn't matter if you have subs or employees. It's exactly the same. In your mind, you may know, but your people may end up getting confused. And if they're missing steps, it's because they don't know the steps. So create a simple checklist. Arrive on scene. Put down protective barriers if you do that, catch-alls or whatever you use, right? So you're protecting the stuff that's there, or you're moving the fragile stuff inside or away from the areas that you're going to be working. Number 2, remove the roof. Number 3, inspect the underlayment. Number 4, replace, remove wherever necessary. Number 5, right? And you go down this checklist. So now at the end of the day, whether you're there or not, whoever's on site, their singular job is to make sure each of these boxes are checked. Your job, or your operations manager or project manager, their job is to go back and double check and make sure that everything gets done. And if it's not, guess what? You know what's been missed, and you can go back and correct it. Does this make sense? Right? I want you to think again about your business. The job that you have as the owner is not to make things more complicated, but to make them more simple. Now, Daniel has a good little comment here. Gall's law states that all complex systems that work evolve from simpler systems that worked. Amen. Right? The job then is not to create a complex system, though, first. It's a simple system. That's it. Okay? Now, how do things get more complicated? Simply by attaching more of these smaller systems together. So a project manager would be in charge of multiples of these systems, which could be material procurement, it could be billing, it could be follow-up with the customer, it could be even getting a Google review, right? All of these things, you can create a system, you can create a process behind it. So here's my challenge to you. This week, pick one thing in your business. And more specifically, let's just talk about the field. One thing in the field that you do that you could put a checklist behind. Not a 500-page manual. Let's not get crazy. Just a simple checklist behind that would help ensure that your people, your subs, whoever's working on the job can get things done more efficiently and more effectively, thereby ultimately making you more money. All right, that's all we got for you guys. If you're not using Contractor Plus, guess what? You should be, because it's set up to help you manage your projects and your people more efficiently and more effectively. As always, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and reach out. We'd love to answer them. Love to help you along your journey of building a contracting business that you've always wanted. All right, you know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go.